Now coming to the last sub question here of question 3, 9.2 upon 5.1 and 3.4 upon 7.1. Now to understand this working, first you understand the explanation I am giving here. What are we going to do? We look at the fractions which are given here, which they call as ratios. In the first one, the numerator is larger than the denominator. You can see very clearly 9.2 is greater than 5.1. In the second one, you see that 3.4 is lesser than 7.1. So, say suppose we have a fraction like this, 1 upon 2. Now, you see that 1 is lesser than 2. So, what happens here? 1 upon 2, if I were to write in decimal, it becomes 0.5. I hope all of you are clear with this. 1 upon 2 is 0.5. Now, here the numerator was lesser than the denominator. Now, let me take an example where I have 4 upon 2. Now, do you see here? The numerator is bigger than the denominator. Numerator is greater than the denominator. 2 goes in 4 2 times, so the answer is 2. Now, do you see in both of these? What do we see here? If the numerator is lesser than the denominator, the answer is 0.5, and 0.5 is lesser than 1. Now you see here in the second example, the numerator was greater than 2. The numerator was greater than the denominator. 4 is greater than 2. So when we simplified it and got the answer, do you see that the answer is greater than 1? Yes. So we come to a conclusion that in any fraction, if the numerator is lesser than the denominator, answer will be lesser than 1, and if the numerator is greater than the denominator, it will be greater than 1. So 9.2 upon 5.1, 9.2 is greater than 5.1, therefore the answer will be greater than 1. 3.4 upon 7.1, the numerator is lesser than the denominator, therefore it will be lesser than 1. So, if 9.2 upon 5.1 is greater than 1, 3.4 upon 7.1 is lesser than 1, which ratio will be greater? Obviously, the first ratio will be greater than the second ratio, because the first ratio is greater than 1 and the second ratio is lesser than 1. So, we write 9.2 upon 5.1 is greater than 3.4 upon 7.1.